And welcome to the 2025 JSRA season.
What a race this has been. But there is Dominic Charles now sitting in the slipstream of the Australian, maybe trying to see if he can force a mistake.
Oh, what a move by Moss on the outside of Jaden Harrison.
Hold them Kimani as the fans are out and about. John just closing off the gap to the Trinidadian.
3, 2, 1, go. Fast, sharp right. Fast, sharp right. Sharp right. Sharp right. Listen. 7.
Hello and welcome to Melbourne for the grand finale of the Caribbean Touring Car Championship 2025 Tour number 1. After weeks of intense battles, it's all come down now to this, the fast and technical Albert Park circuit, where precision meets bravery on this challenging street circuit with 14 corners, packed in 5.3 kilometer layout. Drivers will have to master the high-speed chicanes, heavy braking zones, and the unforgiving walls. The stakes couldn't be higher as the championship contenders fight for glory in the final showdown. Who will rise to the occasion and etch their name into Caribbean Touring Car Championship history to take victory for the first tour of the 2025 season? It's time to go racing in Melbourne. Welcome! I'm your host, Stephen Stewart. Usually alongside me is Mark Reed, but unfortunately he will be missing in action this evening. But don't worry, if last week was anything to go by, we have an action-packed evening here for you. Huge shout out to Mark Rio 45 and their Twitch channel, as well as our YouTube channel, to everybody who is here bright and early, ready to get racing. Ladies and gentlemen, we will quickly go over the round 7 post stewarding results from last week's sprint races at Suzuka, starting with from race 1, our race winner, Mr. Rohir Robinson, who got the race 1 winner, who did get the victory by a very demanding margin, followed by Estefano Barrero securing his run here in the championship to win. After this race he will take the crown, but looking like he has victory, as we will go over championship standings in a moment's time. Riley Kurtz is getting his first podium here at the JSRA, finishing in P3. Dominic Charles follows in P4. Jaden Harrison had a rough start and finished his race, but nonetheless finishing off in P5. Raven Plummer we will not be seeing this evening, but as she is attending a MotoGP race, followed by Louise Daniel Velez. Roger Keller in P8, Kimani Eastman in P9, and Rodrigo Senewild tops out the top 10. We then have Deville Park in P11. Michael Thompson did finish in P8, but did get a 10-second penalty, which relegated him down to P12. Mikhail Charles as well got a 5-second penalty after running into the rear end of Estefano Barrera in turn 1, so he as well relegated outside of the points. Kyle Barrett there as well did get a penalty for an unsafe rejoin, and unfortunately he won't be able able to make it this evening. We have quite a few drivers missing in action this evening, as a matter of fact, due to personal reasons. Unfortunately, we're considering to postpone a week, but this is the finale and we have to go on. This one, Chris Elliott, my apologies, does finish off in P15. Tizwan Taji in P16, and Sashan Falloon to top out the race 1 results in P17. In race 2, we did have the Trinidad driver of Dominic Childs win and take the victory. He did cross the line second behind Jaden Harrison after Jaden did send a dive bomb, which took a position or 2 positions from Daniel Velez, and that did result in a 2-place penalty, 5-second time penalty. So Dominic Charles was promoted into P1 with those points. Luis Daniel Velez promoted to P2, and Jaden Harrison relegated to P3. Estefano Barrera did finish off in a very cool and relaxed manner in P4. Raven Plummer in P5. Rohir Robinson, after dropping back to P12, had to fight his way back, finishes off in P6. Michael Thompson in P7. Roger Keller in P8, Riley Curtis in P9, Kimani Eastman did finish the rest of the points positions in P10. Rodrigo Senawal in P11, Chris Elliott in P12. Tizwan Taji had a safety car infringement, wasn't relegated but did still gain a 15-second penalty, followed by Sashan Falloon, who did rack up quite a few penalties, and he was the final driver to cross the line and did finish off in P14. Deville Park, Mikhail Charles and Cal Barrett there did not finish, so that was their race undone. Quickly now, we will go over the driver standings for the championship, as Estefano leads the pack with 198 points. Rohir Robinson in P2 with 164. The fight for P2 is on, as Daniel Velez only about 8 or 7.5 points behind with 156.5 points. Only 4 points or 3.5 behind him is Dominic Charles. Jaden Harrison with 148 in P5. Raven Plummer in P6 with 136. Christian Gomez in P7. Haven't seen him in a while, unfortunately. Did have some personal reasons why he can't, and he will not be making it again in P7. Calbert there in P8 with 85 points. Mikhail Charles trying to see if he can catch up to Calbert in his absence in P9 with 60.5 points. Mattia Mejia in P10, 55 points. Amari Scorsia with 50 points. Michael Thompson in P12 with 47. Kimani Eastman in P13 with 45. Riley Curtis in P14 with 43. Roger Keller fighting and tied with Riley Curtis right now with 43 points. Kadi Mohammed with 38.5 points. The return of Oswin Wilson, he is back here this evening and ready to go racing. He sits in P17. Luis Arenas in P18. Michael McNamee with 17 points in P19. Deville Park in P20. Kurt Moss in P21. Ruben Espinosa in P22 with 13.5 points. John Singleton, who is at AC karting race as we speak, he will not be attending this evening, as well as Rodrigo Senna Wild. So P23 and P24 kind of rounded out there now, and Samuel Cortez in P25, Chris Elliott in P26 with 1 point, Nicholas Donald with 1 point, and to round out the final point scorings, Tizwan Toaji in P28. So ladies and gentlemen, as the qualifying session the practice session goes on, we have about 10 more minutes of practice, followed by 21-minute sprint qualifying. It will be 10 minutes to the silver class drivers to start, and then 10 minutes for the bronze class drivers to finish. This is just to try and give everybody an ample opportunity on track to get as many or the best time that they can possibly get out and ready and stunting. So that being said, we have roughly about 8 minutes to go until the qualifying session. Ladies and gentlemen, please sit back, relax, get your popcorn, your dinner ready for the show on the way. The fight for P2 is on, unless something catastrophic happens with P1, and we won't bring in the commentator's curse this evening, but unless something catastrophic happens in race 1, this battle does look like Estefano will be leaving here with the gold in the bronze class, as well as the overall standings. The silver class championship still up for grabs between Jaden Harrison, Dominic Charles, and Rohey Robinson and Luis Daniel Velez. So that battle will be going on, but the points for the prize pool will be going all the way from P1 to P8. So still a lot to work for, and we will see in only a moment's time. 8.5 minutes remaining, ladies and gentlemen. We will be ready and ripe for the action here at Melbourne Circuit. As we ride along board here with Dominic Charles, a Trinidad driver who is very much so in that battle for P2. He himself has the most ballast here this evening. We'll just go over the ballast quickly, as Dominic Charles there sits with 60 kilograms on that Renault, so he is going to have quite a task here this evening. Daniel Velez does sit in P2, or let me apologize, he sits right now in P6 with a 156.839, but he does sit with 54 kilograms. He was our driver of the day, so just a quick reminder, if you want to see your driver voted and highlighted on our social media at JSRA official, please leave a comment in the chat and just leave a mention. Who is your driver of the day? So say it at any point during the race. We'll tally it at the end. The top two counted drivers will be mentioned in our social media, so please feel free, say them, get their acknowledgement as best as possible. But yes, Daniel Velez does have the second most with 54 kilograms. Mikhail Charles sits with 48 kilograms. Jaden Harrison with 42. Stefano, but oh, my apologies. This is I was reading the wrong one. My apologies. Daniel, well, it's still not far off, but Dominic Charles does sit with the most with 60 kilograms. Daniel Velez with 54. Jaden with 48. Estefano with 57. Why he has so much is it's 15 plus the position for the BMWs. So he did finish last week in fourth with 42 points. My apologies. So he did have an extra 15 kilograms as he is in the BMW. So he does sit with 57 kilograms. Raven Plummer with 36. Rohey Robinson with 30 kilograms. He did look relatively quick earlier. He's only done a 158 so far, but trust me, we've seen him in the 156s and a low 157, so I'm sure he, Mr. Sandman himself, will have something to say in the next few moments. Michael Thompson as well, and we'll get to his, but yeah, he's right behind Rohey in the ballast system as he has 39 kilograms as he as well is driving the BMW. So he sits with 39 kilograms. Roger Kello is next with 18 kilograms. Riley Curtis with 27 kilograms. He did finish in P9 with 12 kilograms plus the 15. If my maths is correct, that is 27 kilograms. And to top it off, Kimani Eastman finishes off the pack with 6 kilograms. Unfortunately, Kimani as well will be missing in action here as he had to attend to some personal matters, and we wish him a quick turnaround and get back on track as quickly as he can. But as mentioned earlier, this is the season finale, ladies and gentlemen, and what an absolutely epic season this has been. The drivers are tired, if based on what we're hearing. The drivers did enjoy it, and we cannot wait to see what is to come in the next few weeks. We have quite a few updates, so please, if you have the chance, join us on our social media at JSRA Official on Instagram, and on TikTok it is at JSRA 876. So please stay tuned for any updates that we have coming. We have quite a few battles in store for the rest of the season. This has only been Tour 1, and the amount of times I've lost my voice and had to go to work on a Monday and explain to my co-workers that, listen, this is not necessarily me partying, but this is our own kind of partying here in the Simmer. And we are now in the final minute now, ladies and gentlemen, of this practice session. We will have the silver class drivers going out in a moment's time to get ready for qualifying. And I did see a little lag there, which did get me a little bit nervous because of what had happened last week with the servo crash. So that did make me a little bit nervous there. But nonetheless, it looks like God is on our side, and there goes Rohey Robinson careening into the wall. It looked like he just took a moment's time to honestly just give a little kiss, and that's going to be something that we may see tonight, as the walls can get very narrow here at Albert Park, and we know how these drivers are, especially when they go racing. But none that being said, this is going to be a very fun track, to say the least. We've had many battles here in the past, and trust me, it does make me a little bit on the nervous side. But yep, we are now in overtime, and the last few drivers getting in their last few laps. They should be heading into the pits sooner than later, as soon as we go on to Mr. Elliott there. A little bit of a runoff there. Yeah, we have about 2 drivers, and Riley Curtis being one of them, now heading down into the pits. So we have Tizwanto Aji and Chris Elliott now to head into the pits. But yep, ladies and gentlemen, we have 2 qualifying sessions underway in the next few moments. My apologies for calling it tiki-talk. I do have a niece that does like to play with me, and sometimes I do mix up the 2 names. But that being said, I'll definitely try my best to keep up to date and trendy with you young folks. But yes, ladies and gentlemen, we are about to get started with qualifying. I absolutely cannot wait. And ladies and gentlemen, right now the drivers are lining up one by one. The silver class drivers will begin, and after which they have 10 minutes to qualify, and then the next set of drivers from the bronze class will head out. So in about 15 seconds we should see the drivers heading out to get ready and get qualifying. As you see them lining up and ready to go. Mikhail Charles does lead from Rohe Robinson. Mikhail Charles there went back to the pit, so Rohe now promoted and the drivers can go racing. Rohe, then Jaden. Who is that? I believe that's, I'll tell you in a moment's time, I believe that's Oswald Wilson. And yeah, the silver class drivers, Jaden, Mikhail Charles now relegated into, well, the final qualifying position for the drivers. But Rohe Robinson will be the first qualifier here this evening, followed by Jaden Harrison right behind him, followed by Mr. Oswin Wilson. So they should be getting as much space. I said Daniel Velez there right behind, so I'm sure he will be trying to get as much of a slipstream, especially here at Albert Park. We should see quite a few opportunities for a slipstream here this evening, as a matter of fact. So definitely something that we should be looking at. We have 14 corners here. Jaden Harrison, Rohe Robinson, these two have been enemies and at the same time let's call them frenemies at this point, because they have helped themselves with some slipstream as they head down now into turn 9 and 10. But there you see them very close together, so clearly one looking to use the other for a slipstream. So will this work out for them? One has 30 kilograms, and there you see Jaden Harrison taking the lead. So maybe my ideas were different, as you see him swerving and trying to get as much heat into those tires as possible. Jaden Harrison looks as if he will be the first to start this qualifying session. My apologies, as he comes down now to turn 13 and will be heading down now into turn 14, the final corner of Albert Park, and he is on the way, ladies and gentlemen. We'll try and keep up to date with the live timing as well, just so you know who is where and who is setting the blisteringly fast laps. If you look in the top right corner, you will see the sector timing as well, who Jaden started off purple, but immediately looking like Rohe behind him is going to be going for a flyer and trying to dismantle that time in front. So Jaden is looking good so far, and we'll ride along board with him as he heads down to finish up sector 1 here this evening. And I'll give you the live timings as he goes through. And that did look very cutish, but we'll see, because the cuts are governed by real penalty, so it's based on how the real penalty applies those lap times. And so far 38.353 for Jaden Harrison in sector 1, but quickly dismantled by Mr. Rohe Robinson with a 38.220 right behind, 38.7 for Oswin Wilson, and 38.5. so right now Jaden is on pace for about a P2, but looking very good in sector 2. So will this be his moment to shine, as he does get the purple sector 2? But quickly again, Rohe Robinson 24.542. However, I believe Rohe's lap might be invalidated, but we'll double check that or we'll see that clearly in a moment's time, as Jaden Harrison still continues on his flyer as he is now in sector 3, about halfway through, as he heads down now into turn 12. And then 13 coming up in a moment's time. So Jaden is going to be on the provisional pole based on our timing sheet right now, as he did set a 24.6 in sector 2, 24.9. Luis Daniel Velez did set a purple sector 2 with a 24.561, so he might very well be the one to take provisional pole. But as it stands, Jaden goes across the line to put the first lap with a 156.221. Rohe Robinson follows, but again, I did say his time invalid. Oswin Wilson with a 157.266. Here comes Daniel Velez with a 156.816. We have Roger Keller coming in sooner than later. Mikhail Charles as well. Dominic Charles, my apologies, but his lap time was invalid in sector 3, it seems. So he will have another lap to go, but right now riding along board with Mr. Rohe Robinson, who was looking very rapid, has already gone through. Jaden has taken back that purple sector 1, so Jaden is on provisional pole right now. Rohe not looking so opportune at this very moment, so we'll just ride along board with Jaden again, as he is on an absolutely blistering lap with a 37.994 in sector 1, but sector 2 not looking too amazing as it stands. And we'll ride along board with Luis Daniel Velez, but he does improve as he goes with a 24.602. Daniel Velez as well did improve with a 38.234 in sector 1, but did not improve in sector 2 with a 24.629, but he does have the purple sector 2, so this is still a very good time. This can even push him up further in the live timings. He did look a little bit wide there, so hopefully that didn't invalidate his lap, but we'll come back on to him in a second as Jaden heads on now turn 12. Coast a little bit, go back on the gas, use as much of the curb, heads on now into turn 13 and down now into the final corner here as he heads down to turn 14 and comes around looking tidy, looking like this could be a very good lap here, maybe a 156 or even a 156 flat at this point, as he heads down now to the start finish straight. He goes with a 155.782, so that is a lap time to beat, ladies and gentlemen. Daniel Velez now does pass, did not improve. Looked like his sector 3, my apologies, does just pass with a 156.679. Dominic Charles as well with a 156.309. So Daniel Velez did improve, but is relegated from P2 to P3. Rohit Robinson looking rapid in sector 1, and will this be his moment, because he does need to catch back up to the likes of the cars in front and taking as much of the track as possible is Rohit Robinson. 3 minutes remaining here for the silver class drivers, and right now we've had one driver in the 55s. This is the first driver, as a matter of fact, for the week in the 55s. Rohit did not improve in sector 1, and sector 2 is not looking too pretty, and his closest competitors, Dominic Charles and Daniel Velez, are in P2, P3 and P1 with Jaden Harrison. Remember, the fight is on, ladies and gentlemen, for that P2 position in the championship standing. So he definitely needs to pick up. He does set a purple sector 2, so he is definitely going to be trying his best to see where he can capitalize with a 24.485. So that is a rapid, that's about 2/10 clear of the next driver, who was 24.6 in Daniel Velez, and a 38.311 in sector 1. So his lap is not his best sector 1, but still not a bad time. Still not improving in sector 3 either. So will this work out for him? I believe he will get a better time. Hopefully he doesn't invalidate another lap. He, as well as Mr. Charles there, Mikhail Charles, my apologies, not Dominic, who is sitting in P2, will be definitely trying their best. But as Rohit Robinson now comes around the final corner, drag race down now to that start finish line, 156.652. So, and it looks like he was invalid there for him in sector 3. So he's now in the pressure pot, because 11.5 minutes. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, he is one that needs a good race here this evening. So he will definitely be hoping for a better turnout, that this is his final lap to go racing. And I don't even know that if that sector 1 was as clean as he would have wanted, as turn 2 did look very wide and dramatic. So we'll ride along board with him soon, but even as it stands, 38.311 looks like it's still valid. Come on, Rohit, you need a banker lap in. Good luck to you, sir. The Ville Park now promoted into P5. We have about a minute and 10 seconds until the bronze class drivers are ready to get racing. Roger Keller in the pit, so that looks like his qualifying is now done. 158.411, not his fastest time for the week, so clearly could not get a good lap in. Daniel Velez now not improving either, but still trying his best. We'll ride along board now. I'm guessing Rohit didn't want to hear his voice again over the commentary, but here he is. Sector 3 has been his issue. Comes around turn 13, now into 14. This is a final corner to head down now into the straightaway. Oh, my apologies, I was looking at Jaden Harrison on the top of the street, the live timing. My apologies, Jaden did not improve, but has one more lap to cement it, but looks very much so clear, as he's about, what's that, 3, 4, 7 tenths, 6 tenths clear of the next driver, the Trinidadian driver, with 60 kilograms in Dominic Charles. But here comes Rohit Robinson. Does look like he's finally gonna get a good lap down, and as he heads down to the start finish straight, passes the start finish line with a 156.464, relegates Daniel Velez into P4. But Daniel is, and that's his qualifying session done as well. As you see, the bronze class drivers are now heading out. Oswin Wilson as well pulls to the side. The Ville Park now is finishing up on his last lap. Jaden Harrison as well has one more lap and is finishing it up right now. So he will, once he passes, he will have to bring it in and call it a day. But he is purple sector 1 and looking very rapid. His next competitor will be Estefano Barrera, but the silver class drivers should be off the track if they passed after that 10-minute mark. So we'll definitely hear and have to check that out in the next few moments. But Jaden definitely did pass after the 10 minutes. Michaela will have to check on. But that being said, the bronze class drivers are on an outlap, so give it some time, ladies and gentlemen. They have 10 minutes, but as we ride along board now with Jaden Harrison, who is finishing up this final lap, he should be bringing it home sooner than later. As Jaden there comes around the final corner to pass the start finish line, he comes around, and this looks like it's going to be a blistering lap as he sets a 1:55.635. Mikhail Charles as well should be finishing up now, and we'll definitely have to check that out just to make sure. But he comes around now to finish his last lap, and he will, looks like he will improve, but maybe not up further than he would have wanted, as a 1:59 2 minutes is his last lap time, and does not put in a lap. But Estefano Barrera, now the driver that we'll be waiting on to see what he can do as he comes around turn 13 and heads, gives himself some space, doesn't want to catch up to any of the cars in front of him, so he does head out now to start his first flying lap of the race. And we will be riding along board to see what can be done here by the likes of the Colombian driver. He has basically cemented a victory here this evening, or in this championship already, but he has been a consistent, a rapid driver all season, so we don't expect less from him as he heads down now to finish sector 1. He has about 2 corners left, and then we'll get a little inclination of where he is, and there he is with a 38.698, so almost a second clear of Riley Curtis and Michael Thompson in front of him. But that being said, the two will definitely and my apologies, Chris Elliott there with a 40.960. So Riley Curtis now with a 24.673. And again, ladies and gentlemen, don't be fooled. Just because you're a bronze class driver does not say anything about the skill level of the driver. It's just the classification on how to get a license. And if you do want to join us, you've seen the racing, you've seen it, you've heard it, you've watched it, maybe you want to be a part of it, please feel free to give us a shout in our Discord or our Instagram, and we'll give you all of the information to get on board with the racing. We do love more competitors. We love the consistency of this season, and looking forward to many more. We have 3 seasons for this year. This is the grand finale of season 1, and what a season this has been. That being said, Estefano comes around the final corner now, and he will be finishing off, does set his banker lap, and he will be placed right there, P5 to start off, and that was a good enough lap to put him in the top 5. And you know, he doesn't need to be in the top 3 to be able to get some good points. So 156.989, he is sitting with 57 kilograms here this evening, so he is very heavy in that BMW M2, but nonetheless we've seen him with more and could carry out and gain a better position in the long run. So we'll look out for a very awesome battle, but that is only his first lap. Look out for him in the next few. We have about 5 minutes remaining in this qualifying session. Estefano sits in P5. Riley Curtis does sit in P9, as well as Michael Thompson in P8. Estefano there heading back to the pits, so he gets his qualifying session restarted and maybe didn't get a good lap there, and he will have 1 out lap and then about 2 more laps to go. So maybe this is a strategy of his own to try and get the best lap, best fuel at the end of the qualifying session. As you see Michael Thompson there I believe that's Riley Curtis right in front of him. So these two are very close to each other. I'm sure we'll definitely be trying to see where they can place side by, well, in front of each other. Right now, Michael, my apologies, is ahead of the Australian Carter in Riley Curtis. And again, ladies and gentlemen, this is an awesome opportunity just to remind you, as you see there, Michael there going very late on the brakes. Looked like he was just drawing in the likes of the AC karting driver as the two head down now to start finish straight, and that will be a nice draft. You can see him pulling. Will Michael improve? It looks like he will, and he goes up now into P5 to relegate Estefano into P6. So Estefano does have some work to do. Michael did look rapid in that practice session, so maybe getting a little bit of a toe there in that coming out to the final corner. So awesome job by him there, and I'm sure he will be definitely trying his best. You will notice that Sashan Falloon has not stepped out. He did or will not be able to qualify this evening after accumulating a few too many qualifying penalty points last race, my apologies. So he did unfortunately receive a ban from the qualifying, but this is his first season here at the JSRA. We are proud of him, and we're looking forward to many more battles with him and looking forward to his growth here. So remember the name, as he is one of our promising drivers. We'll see him in the very near future taking on the top step, I'm sure, as he will continue his growth here at the JSRA. Chris Elliott there in P11. As we see Estefano here coming down through turn 1, and he will be pushing and trying to see where he can be promoted in the next few moments. But at the moment sits in P6, right behind the driver, the Jamaican in Michael Thompson, and in a Jamaican sandwich right now between Michael and DeVille. So the Colombian, I'm sure, will be trying his best to squeeze out of that one as quickly as possible. And so far does improve in sector 1 with a 38.6 for 691 for Estefano. He is clear of his other counterparts, 24.5 in sector 2. Please remember that purple sector 2 was a 24.467 set by Rohe Robinson. So final sector, you want at least a 53.6 to see if you can get down closer and lower into the lower portions of the top steps of that top 3, top 5. But right now he's down about 100th on Michael Thompson, so looking like he'll be at least promoted above him. But he right now, I'm sure, will be trying to overtake his countryman in Luis Daniel Velez, and even the Jamaican or the Trinidadian in Dominic Charles or Rohe Robinson. But Jaden Harrison there sitting rapidly in front with a 155.635. But there goes Estefano coming down the start finish straight and 156, and looks like that sector 3 was a detriment, as he was a 54.747 and it was invalid. So that was not the best thing that he would have wanted. Right now 40 seconds remain in this qualifying session, and then we will have two 20-minute sprint races. And boy, the likes of these drivers, we can look forward to those next 40 minutes, and these battles will definitely play a role here in the final championship standings. Estefano is quite comfortable ahead, so just a points finish will keep him cement in that top step, but anything else might throw out a little bit of a drama if he is to be out of points for both, and there's a capitalization of points in race 1 and 2 for the likes of Rohe Robinson. But the checkered flag is now out, so the drivers will be on their last lap. Estefano is improving in sector 1 and improving in sector 2, not the fastest, but still at 24.534, only a 10th shy of the purple sector set by Rohe Robinson. Robinson coming up on a little bit of traffic there in, is that Tizwanto or G? I believe, yes, it is. So right now, Estefano, I'm sure, is hoping and praying that he will get out of the way or just be non-existent by the time he catches him up. But there he goes, little too wide, does go sideways, and will that be his lap undone? I'm not sure if it's invalid. Didn't see if he passed the white line, but he's catching up to the likes of Tizwanto, very rapid, who is slightly in the way there, as I saw, but I'm sure he's hoping will get out of his way as quickly as possible. Comes around now the start finish line to pass, and will he improve? Yes, he does. 156.612, snatches it away from his countryman. I'm sure that final two corner section between turns 12 to 14 was the detriment for that lap time, but nonetheless, P4 is a very good start here for the Colombian. Sitting there with 57 kilograms does take P4 from his countryman, and what a race this is going to turn out to be. Ladies and gentlemen, please be reminded, you can leave your votes for drive of the day. I already seen one for Dominic Charles, give Jaden Harrison 500 kilograms of ballast. We'll definitely consider that one in the next race because of the dominance that he's shown in so many races. But that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we have Jaden Harrison now in P1 with 155.635. Dominic Charles in P2 with a 156.309. And Rohit Robinson, the final podium position, with a 156.464. Estefano Barrera in P4. Luis Daniel Velez in P5. Michael Thompson in P6. DeVille Park in P7. Oswin Wilson in P8. Riley Curtis in P9. Roger Keller in P10. Chris Elliott in P11, Mikhail Charles in P12, Tizwanto Aji in P13, and Sashan Falloon to round out the grid in P14. Whew. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back with the action in only a moment's time. And ladies and gentlemen, just a reminder again, unfortunately, we will not be having a real physical safety car. As you know, I'd typically be driving it, but we will have a virtual safety car rolling start. The leader will be starting and leading the pack here as the lights go out. So we will go racing in a moment's time, and the battles will get going in, as I said, in a moment's time. Jaden Harrison should be leading the pack. And there we go, ladies and gentlemen. Jaden now leads the pack from the likes of Dominic Charles. You see the tire warming in these front wheel drive cars. Rohir Robinson there looking like the Iceman himself, while everybody is warming. He just stays straight and is prepared mentally for the battles. Rohir Robinson in that purple Chevrolet Cruze. Estefano Barrero sits in P4, the Colombian, the championship leader. He as well looking like the Iceman, just waiting for the battle. Daniel Velez there right behind. Nova Racing leader in that Ford Focus in P5. Michael Thompson in P6. Deville Park in P7. Oswin Wilson in P8. Riley Curtis in P9, Roger Keller in P10, Chris Elliott in P11, Mikhail Charles in P12, Tizwanto Aji in P13, Sashan Falloon in P14. Ladies and gentlemen, we will go racing in only a moment's time. The racers are ready to go, the ants are tingling, and we cannot wait to get racing. Almost getting dizzy here in the commentators booth as the drivers trying their best to get as much warmth into those tires, especially for turn one. We don't want to jinx it, but it will be absolute madness. But we're hoping, if we've gotten through Monza so clean, I'm hoping that we'll get through this evening as best as possible. Ladies and gentlemen, we are moments away. Jaden Harrison on the outside, Dominic Charles on the inside. We have less than about 30 seconds, my apologies, until race start. And the drivers, you can hear them getting ready, excited for the battles on the way. Jaden Harrison does lead the pack from the Trinidad driver. We've seen the top 4 and top 5 in so many battles this season. Looking forward to seeing what can come and what will be of this evening's battles. We have actually a race turnout low, and even right, I was wondering why Dominic was behind. But yes, we are now on the start finish line. We see 81 kilometers on the speed limiter. We have a red flag and we are getting ready to go racing. It is now green light racing, and away we go Dominic Charles did not get the best start there, as Estefano looks like he's already trying to see where he can gain a position, but Jaden Harrison does lead. Now Estefano jumps up a position. Dominic Charles loses one. Rohit stands still. Luis Daniels as well stands still. Michael Thompson as well. Deville Park. Mikhail Charles did jump 2 drivers, taking a position from Roger and Chris Elliott, but Roger still fighting his way through there. But we'll take a look again as Estefano and Dominic there fighting it out, bumper to bumper, bumper to fender, my apologies, and Dominic will now be hunting down the Colombian. Right now Rohit Robinson will be as well trying to get in front of the Trinidad driver, as well as Daniel Velez right behind. Doesn't want to fall back too far, but does sit with the second highest amount of weight here this evening. Dominic Charles does sit in P3 with the most this evening, and Jaden Harrison as well is climbing and sprinting away, if I do say so myself, running away and setting this lap ablaze and just getting away as quickly as possible. Stefano Barrero leads from Dominic Charles, who is being hunted already by Mr. Rohit Robinson. So Rohit already trying to see if he can gain back a position, but there is Dominic Charles, who is right there on the rear end of Estefano. So Dominic just gained a lot of time there in only 2 corners, and is already looking down on the outside of Estefano. Estefano going defensive already, and there he goes as the 2 go now into turns 11. A little bit of contact, and that puts Rohit Robinson right in the picking to see if he can gain a position, and he does go side by side with Dominic Charles and does take that position away from the likes of the Trinidad driver. Dominic Charles now relegated to P4. Luis Daniel Velez as well has found his way into this picture, but Rohit Robinson is now hunting down the likes of Estefano Barrero with 57 kilograms, Rohit with 30, and Rohit will definitely be trying his best to see if he can get some points from the likes of the driver in front, as there he goes, and the 2 head into turn 1. One late on the brakes, looks very nervous there is Rohit Robinson, and that puts Dominic Charles now right in the picking to see if he can get a moment in this picking for the top 2 step. But the podium is now being fought by 4 drivers. The likes of Jaden Harrison has pulled away, but right now Estefano from Rohit from Estefano. Dominic Charles now is back. He was sideways for a moment's time. Michael Thompson now as well in the mix, but yes, Luis Daniel Velez now following Estefano, following Rohit Robinson. So what happened there for Dominic, and we will only see in a moment's time, but there the battle goes and continues. Wow, what a start. So right now, a brilliant start there for Rohit Robinson. Did not have the best qualifying lap. Maybe he focused more on race pace on his qualifying setup than his race setup. So maybe that was his strategy. But yeah, he's had a brilliant start to this race and is now holding forth. Who was that? I saw a lot of smoke, but not any incidents. Nobody dropped places. Oh, one person did drop a place between Mikhail Charles and Deville Park, and Deville now losing 2 positions, so maybe had a little minor spin there, but does get back on track as quickly as possible. Mikhail Charles now promoted from P13 all the way up into P7, so he himself is looking very rapid and looking where he can gain as many points here this evening. But yes, we'll ride along board still with Michael Thompson, who did look rapid in the practice session and will definitely be trying his best to see where he can place in this next few moments. Right now, Jaden Harrison with a 156.631 set, fastest lap of the race, 158.74. Rohit Robinson 159 for Estefano, but the leading 5 are separated by only a few mere tenths of a second, and the battling will continue. And we're seeing that Mikhail Charles and Riley Curtis had dropped 5 and 3 positions. So what happened there between them, we'll hear about in the stewarding report, I'm sure. But that is unfortunate because Mikhail, he did so much to get up so far. So I'm sure he will be crying at whatever had happened to cause that. as well as Riley, who will be 5 seconds off of Mikhail, 18 from the leader. So that is going to be a very unfortunate start to this race. Tizwanta G there finding himself into the wall and finds himself relegated. I'm seeing drivers just dropping down, looking like Roger is waiting on a driver there. Not sure what's happened there between them, but yeah, we'll stick and we'll hear about it in the steering report, I'm sure, as there goes Estefano into the rear end of Rohe Robinson, and that will drop him a position. Daniel Velez is promoted, and remember, Daniel was only a few points behind Rohe Robinson for that points or that P2 position. So Daniel Velez, I'm sure, will be defending like a lion here this evening to capitalize, and I'm sure will be smiling with a grand smile on his face. Estefano Barrera does now is relegated into P5. Dominic Charles now back in the mix for them. Jaden Harrison is just pulling away more and more, and there you see Rohe now trying his best to stick in the slipstream of Daniel Velez. Daniel trying to break it as best as possible. Reminded that we have 5 track cuts, so, and I think real penalties quite lenient here, if I do say so myself. But that being said, Daniel Velez, they're trying to break as much of the toe as possible and keep Rohe Robinson afoot and back in P3. So right now the podium sitters are Jaden Colombia, Luis Daniel Velez and Rohe Robinson, 2 Jamaicans and a Colombian driver. Michael Thompson in his best position here in race 1 here at the grand finale of this Caribbean Touring Car Championship. Huge shout out as well to Star Just Star, as always, Dominic Charles' biggest supporter, always seeing her out and about, ready to vote for her #1 driver. And please, ladies and gentlemen, remember, say the names of your driver, your favorite driver for the evening, who puts on the best moves, and we'll see if we can get them featured on our social media. But best of luck to these drivers here this evening, as you're seeing Rohe Robinson just sticking there in the slipstream and just waiting on his moment to pounce, not being too impatient. He has 12.5 minutes, so at this point, don't rush it, is I'm sure the strategy, but you know you don't want to leave it until too late, because we know Daniel can put quite that much of a lion's defense, as you see him there. He's putting the car exactly where he needs it. Dominic Charles as well needs to make up some positions if he wants a chance, because the next closest drivers to him are now in P2 and P3 and P1, my apologies, with Jaden Harrison 1 position behind Dominic. So this is going to be his moment where he needs, ladies and gentlemen, to place as high as possible and gain as many points as he can possibly get in race 1 here this evening. And there you see Estefano making a move, heading down start-finish line, and makes that move on Michael Thompson. Michael Thompson now relegated down 1 position, but Estefano will be pushing. Dominic Charles now, I'm sure, will be saying this is his turn to get racing. We've seen Michael get into a few incidents here in the past, so we're going to cross our fingers and hope. But there goes Luis Daniel Velez and Rohe Robinson, the 2, looking like Rohe did find himself off track again, does make himself back on in a safe manner, but he's now relegated now into P4, so that's 2 positions, or 1 position, my apology. But still, that is going to be a heartbreak for him, because his closest competitor sits in P2. So he needs to catch up and gain as many points as possible. Estefano now in the clutches of Dominic Charles. Dominic Charles now seeing some more hope, because he sees that purple cruise and sees an opportunity now, because these are the drivers that he's trying to defend and attack. So right now, Dominic Charles will be hunting down the likes of the Colombian, and the Colombian hunting down the likes of the Jamaican, and the Jamaican hunting down the likes of the Colombian. Rohe Robinson only a few seconds behind. What's that, about 2 or 1.5 seconds behind, and still has to do some form of defending, because he has the rapid Estefano Barrera right behind him. But we know Rohe as well has shown his pace, and with 10 minutes to go, he will have his defense, he will have his run. And there goes Estefano. Looked like he missed his breaking point and was looking like he's going to find himself into the rear end of Rohe Robinson, and now is relegated 2 positions. So Michael Thompson and Dominic Charles now moves up into P5 and P4. Rohe Robinson with a breath of relief, 1, because now he doesn't have the likes of Estefano behind him, and 2, because now he did see a charging Colombian right behind him, and I'm sure was very tense with how his race has started. So I'm sure he himself is very happy that that didn't end up how it did. But right now, 2.7 seconds is the gap between himself and the Colombian in front in Daniel Velez. So he needs to catch up. He needs to put some pace here and catch up to Luis, because Luis definitely wants to capitalize on as many points to try and close that gap to Rohe before the final race. I believe it was about a 7 points gap, points difference. So, you know, at this point, you definitely, ladies and gentlemen, want to keep as many you know, as much time, but that gap is closing. 2.2 seconds now is the gap. We'll look at the times on the next lap, but last lap Rohe did the 2 seconds slower than Daniel, so that is clearly where that gap came from. But hopefully Dominic will not put too much pressure on Rohe and confuse him too much, because they are not too far ahead from each other. But whew, wow, what a race this has started. Riley Curtis is promoted into P10, but I am noticing he did get a drive-through for cutting, so his points position might be under threat. We'll hope and pray that he will be able to finish off in the points here this evening, and at least in P10 for the reverse grid, so he can get the best chance possible. Did finish last week on the podium, so I'm sure he would like to replicate that finish in the grand finale here at his home circuit here at Albert Park. Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned for a battle that is to come. And just taking a look there at the race leader in Jaden Harrison, he has just been dominant here this evening, as he has about a 10-second gap to Daniel Velez behind him. Rohe has closed that gap to about 1.5 seconds, 1.48 to be exact, and he is slowly catching up to his closest competitor. He has about 7 minutes remaining until the end of this race, so he is making his way downtown walking fast. I'm sure you haven't heard that in quite some time, but he is definitely hunting down the likes of Mr. Daniel Velez in the Ford Focus right in front of him. See some drivers getting some drive-throughs for speeding, for cutting, so hopefully they can clean up their race act sooner than later. But right now, 1.48 seconds is the gap between Rohe and Daniel Velez. And Rohe is lapping about a second faster than Daniel Velez, and there you see it, he's just closing in lap after lap, and there he's about a second away as they come out of turn 14 now. And he, I'm sure, well, there you see it, Daniel, they're trying to break that slipstream as quickly as possible, and Rohe, they're trying to catch up. 156.7 versus 157.7, so that is a full second faster on that last lap. Rohe can, well, I'm sure he'll be trying his best not to do any cutting and get himself any drive-through penalties here this evening, because he doesn't want any more drama here this evening. But he's hunting. Who is that I see? I believe that was Oswin Wilson, who is right there ready and waiting, and he is pressuring the likes of Estefano. The two do make contact, and Oswin now being pushed wide and has to back out of it, but the two, nose and tail, are fighting it through by turn turns 11 and 10, but they are hunting each other down. You can see in that PIP right down in the bottom right, they are right beside each other and they are fighting it out. 4 points positions here. That Ford Focus is looking absolutely rapid, and it's like the tires have come alive. Maybe he's on the hard tires versus the medium. I'm sure we'll hear about it later on in the driver interviews when you hear about what the drivers went through. But right now, Oswin Wilson, the Guyanese driver, is hunting down the likes of Estefano, and I'm sure will be trying his best to try and pull a position here. Hasn't been here in a while, and I'm sure is trying his best. But there you see Daniel Velez going immediately defensive as the two go side by side now into turn 12, and they are hunting each other down. Dominic Charles and Michael Thompson as well right behind, but there's Rohey Robinson, the two fighting it out tooth and nail, and Rohey Robinson sitting there right there ready for the fighting to take place as they come around the penultimate corner now into turn 14. I'm sure we'll be using that push to pass, keep us close. 4 minutes remaining, ladies and gentlemen. This is going to be the battle, but right behind him is Dominic Charles trying to take away the best points position finish, or best point finishing position for Michael Thompson. So we have 1, we have 2, we have 3 races, as right behind him is Oswin Wilson and Estefano still trying to fight it out for glory. We'll continue to see who will be victorious. Dominic Charles there hunting that Jamaican driver in Michael Thompson, looking left, looking right, does the switcheroo, goes on the inside, and that looks like a move done. But will the switcheroo come for Michael Thompson? Tries to go defensive is Dominic Charles, does look like he holds off, and that looks like a position gained by the Trinidad driver. What a move by Dominic Charles here in the closing stages. We'll have some defending to go though with 3 minutes remaining. Rohey Robinson now still on the hunt for Luis Daniel Velez. And we are just about reaching the 2-minute mark. We're about 2.5 minutes right now. And ladies and gentlemen, this is a kind of drive that we've expected to see from Daniel Velez. He just knows where to put that car to defend as best as possible. Rohey Robinson, however, being a very patient driver, just looking for his moment to just snatch that position. But there you see that Ford Focus just getting the better exit there, as Rohey Robinson looking a little bit wide there, but does hold for it. And 1:57.043 for Daniel Velez, 1:57.039 for Rohey Robinson. We are at the 2-minute warning right now, and there you see Rohey Robinson just sticking in the slipstream, just waiting on his moment. These two have found themselves in a collision already, so I'm sure they are trying their best. But there you see Rohey looking like he's taking a look on the outside, and the two are side by side and quote unquote alongside, and Rohey hasn't given it up, looking like he's going for the position just like what Dominic Charles did, and that is a position gained by Rohey Robinson. Daniel Velez just looks like he gave that one up and now sits in P3. They have some lapping to do because they are coming up on a blue flag driver. But right now, Daniel Velez does sit in P3. Rohey Robinson is promoted into P2, and that is going to be his move with a minute remaining to go. Michael Thompson still hunting down the likes of Dominic Charles. Now you just want to keep it clean, Rohey, and bring it home. And you should be in a good haul of points. As you see right now, Michael hasn't given up P4 as yet, and he is right there in the slipstream of Dominic Charles with a minute remaining. We have, remember, +1 lap after the leader passes the start finish line. The leader is about 15 seconds in front of the car behind, but there goes Michael Thompson on the outside. Dominic Charles did go defensive and hugs that inside line, and looks like the better line might push him a little bit wide. You see Michael Thompson having to go a little bit of drifting there, a little bit of Tokyo drifting, and has to catch back that car. And there goes the defensive masterclass of Dominic Charles to keep that position. And as Jaden Harrison does pass the line, so we do have one more lap after this, so 2 more laps of racing as Jaden Harrison heads down into turns, just comes out to turns 2 and heads down now into turn 3. But right now, Jaden, a demanding lead here. Rohit Robinson as well in P2. Daniel Velez, very severe cut there. Looks like he's getting a little bit desperate there, and did find himself in the wall and will get a track cut from real penalty, but he is allowed 5 before he is given a drive-through penalty. And there you see him looking like he has to slow down there. Maybe got a little bit of a track cut. But there, Oswin Wilson, Michael Thompson, Estefano Barrero fighting it out as a 2. Oswin and Estefano finding themselves again in the midst of themselves. And they have 2 more laps to go. 2 more laps of racing. Estefano trying to hold off that Ford Focus. A late dive there by Oswin Wilson. And the 2 are side by side. No contact. These 2 are very clean drivers. But Estefano comes out ahead as they head down now into the fastest section of Albert Park, and Oswin has to back out a bit, but wow, what an attempt there by the Guyanese driver. And there is only, still a few moments to go. We have 1 more lap after this one, and then the racing will come to a conclusion. But wow, we still have some time to go on the board, and only time will tell what can happen. We have a reverse grid after this, ladies and gentlemen, so please stay tuned for what is to come. And we are 110% looking forward to seeing what can come in the next few moments. But as it stands, Jaden Harrison looking very dominant here at the end of Albert Park, the grand finale of this race. He's trying to be promoted. He sits in P4 in the championship standings and looks like, or is trying his best to see how many points he can gain in the dying stages here this evening. He is now on the on the final lap, my apologies. Jaden Harrison is now on the final lap. Rohit Robinson just slightly behind. Well, here we go, slightly. He's very much so behind. In P2, Daniel Velez in P3, Dominic Charles in P4. Estefano Barrero is in the pits. So I'm not sure if he got a drive-through penalty, but he should be coming out well ahead of Michael Charles. So this is not his best standing or points finish, but yep, Estefano did have a drive-through, as it just says drive-through taken by the Colombian driver. So he is that looks like lap traffic behind, is that Daville Park, I believe. No, that's not Daville, but yeah, that is lap traffic for Estefano, and he has Tizwanta G right there in front of him that he will need to pass as quickly as possible. But as it stands, this looks like his final finishing position. Jaden Harrison though has just been dominant, and as I go on him, he finds himself in the grass. Catch it back, Jaden, let that not be the commentator's curse, but he is finishing up his final lap now as he heads down now into the final few corners. Rohit Robinson had a lot of work here, made his way up to P2, was relegated down to P4 and had to fight his way back up to P2, and now sits very comfortable. Daniel Velez though has the likes of Dominic Charles there right there in his rearview mirror. So what is happening with Daniel, because Dominic is catching up at a rapid pace. And is this a repeat of Monza where we ran out of gas like Rohit did in the final corner? But this doesn't look like gas. That just looks like it was a slight mistake. But Dominic is there closing. And could it be gas? Because he has reached right there on the rear end of the Colombian driver. My apologies. Jaden Harrison does pass the start-finish line in P1. Rohit Robinson comes around in P2. Daniel Velez does finish off in P3 though. But we did miss the finish for Jaden Harrison. My apologies. It was very confusing there. Michael Thompson, best finish in race 1 in P5. Oswin Wilson in P6. Estefano Barrera comes around the start-finish line to finish off in P7. Michael Charles as well will finish off a few moments behind as he comes around the final corner right now, as well as Daville Park in P8 and P9 for Daville Park. Riley Curtis in P10. Riley will be finishing up in a moment's time. But we'll ride along board now with our race winner. He hasn't put a foot wrong. He's been absolutely epic the whole race, and what an absolute spectacle from the beginning to the end. Jaden Harrison did take victory here this evening, and what a dominant victory to cap off the season 4 race 1. Jaden Harrison, ladies and gentlemen, what a brilliant drive from him. And ladies and gentlemen, we have a had a very interesting start to this race. Unfortunately, this server looked like it kicked one of the drivers, so we had to wait it out a little bit for some of the drivers to, or one of the drivers to get back in. It might have been a mistake on my behalf, but that being said, we are now getting ready to go racing. We are now waiting on the drivers to head around for the starting of this race. So just to go over quickly, we have Riley Curtis starting off this race, Deville Park in P2, Mikhail Charles in P3, Estefano Barrera in P4, Michael Thompson in P5, Oswin Wilson in P6. We have Luis Daniel Velez in P7, Jaden Harrison in P8. Oh, my apologies, Jaden Harrison should be in P10. We have Dominic Charles there in P8, Jaden Harrison and Rohir Robinson in P9 and P10. And not the cleanest looking, but we have red light racing and it is now green light racing, and there is oh my word, and that is going to be a that was a torrid start there for Riley. Racing goes on. Racing. What's going on, guys? Alright, safety car now. Safety car, safety car. Safety car, please. It's a real penalty console. Eating. ladies and gentlemen. We will go green light racing on this lap. And ladies and gentlemen, a very interesting start there. The leader did not see the real penalty console, unfortunately, and that is what had caused that little incident at the start between O'Reilly Curtis and the other drivers. So that was unfortunate for him there, maybe because of his disconnection, but he did lose out there, unfortunately. But the racing has now started, and that is the likes of Riley Curtis trying to inch out Rohir Robinson, who is trying his best to gain as many points here. His closest competitors sitting now in P2, P4, and Dominic Charles in P10. And who was that? I believe that was again Riley Curtis. So his race undone again. And Chris Elliott now drops down as well, down 5 positions. Dominic Charles now into P8, Rohir Robinson into P6. So he has some work to do. Did finish last race in P2, and now we'll be hunting down the likes of Mikhail Charles, the Trinidadian driver. He has 15 minutes remaining. Estefano Barrero does lead this race in P1. Daniel Velez sits in P2, and Jaden Harrison in P3. Jaden needs as many points as possible. Will be definitely trying his best to try and capitalize here this evening. He sits with 60 kilograms in that Ford Focus, so he will be definitely trying his hardest to try and close the gap to the cars ahead. He sits P4 in the championship standings, and I'm sure will be trying his best to see where he can gain an advantage, to see where he can be placed up a position. But as we saw there in the background, Dominic Charles and Oswin Wilson are now in battle. The Guyanese and the Trinidadian driver right behind the Jamaican in that purple Chevrolet Cruze. So the three will be fighting it out right now. Dominic needs to get in front of Oswin and gain as many points as possible if he still wants a chance at that P3 in front of him. And you see him there in the slipstream. Makes a look on the outside now as they head down now the start finish line in, and we'll be heading down now into turn 1, and right here is where you're going to see them, and that looks like a move done. Oswin relegated down into P8, Dominic promoted into P7. Rohir Robinson now has a charging Trinidadian. He is in a Trinidadian sandwich now between Mikhail and Dominic Charles, and he himself will be trying his best. Takes a look, maybe trying to throw a little bit of a little bit of confusion there for the driver in front, but still will have some work to do, as he has the likes of the red Renault in his rear view mirror and the likes of that blue and red BMW in front of him, and I'm sure will be trying his best here this evening to try and get afloat as quickly as possible. Again, ladies and gentlemen, shout out your drivers of the days, because they need the support from their drivers. Whoever you see that you've enjoyed watching here this evening, Rohe has put on a spectacle this evening. So has Jaden, who just was dominant, and Daniel Velez, another one who right now is being hounded by the likes of Jaden Harrison. And again, these two are in contention for the championship standings, the overall championship standings, where the prize pool is at stake. And right now there goes Jaden Harrison, looking like he's gonna take a look on the outside. Focus against Focus, looks like he may have gotten that move stuck, and he does look clear off that blue and yellow Colombian themed Ford Focus, and he will be now hunting down the likes of Estefano and trying to see where he can gain an advantage and gain back that top step, maybe try and do a clean sweep. But right now Daniel Velez has not given up that position, and he is going to be trying to use him to pull him along and stay as close as possible. As you see there, Jaden trying to break the slipstream, but not too much, as he just goes to the right now, goes back onto the racing line. Looks like he was going to try and maybe put a little bit of confusion there, but Luis Daniel Velez is hunting down the Jamaican, and it will be stuck in that slipstream for the next few moments. Michael Thompson there in the rear view looking very racy, and right behind them, guess what? Dominic Charles on the rear end of Rohir Robinson, and the likes of his countryman, and the two will go in, and he has to take maneuvers to get away because he was looking like he was going to run into the rear end of his countryman in Michael Charles. I'm sure Michael had to tensen up right there, and there the Jamaican and the Trinidadian make a little bit of contact, and Michael Charles is pushes Rohe off the track, and Rohe loses 2 positions in one. Dominic as well did lose 2, and will be hunting down to try and see if he can make back up in the next 10.5 minutes. Wow, what a start to this race, ladies and gentlemen. Oswin Wilson now hunting down the likes of that Trinidad driver. And he has done a spectacular job here this evening. He's shown us some really good racing. There goes Michael Charles. There did look extremely wide. And now it looks like 1 is going to go into 2 into 3 as the Ville Park now pulls up alongside these 2, and they will be going racing right now at this very moment. And there goes Rohe Robinson on the inside of the Ville Park. Now looks at Oswin Wilson, and the 2 did kind of back out to that lap, that corner, maybe to try and avoid any form of contact. But Rohe Robinson looking like he's driving with a little bit of red mist, not too aggressive, but still trying to make as many positions as possible. Here this evening, Estefano with the fastest lap, quickly dismantled by the likes of Jaden Harrison there, and Rohe Robinson with a little bit of bump drafting to try and get in front of Michael Charles as quickly as possible. There you see him. Will he take a look in? Rohe Robinson does back out a little bit earlier. Looks like he coasted a little bit to try and keep afloat and maybe not force the move. He has 10 minutes remaining. He has 2 positions in front that he can see. These will be crucial to his championship fight with Luis Daniel Velez. There, Oswin Wilson looking like he's going racing as you see Michael Charles there drifting a little bit, and side by side is the Guyanese and the Trinidadian driver. Oswin looking like he's made that move stick, and yes he has, as he moves up into P5. Rohe Robinson now looking to see if this is his moment as they head down now the fastest section of this lap, and there they go side by side. Michael Charles trying to close out the Jamaican, and there's contact between the 2. Not enough, but that is the kind of racing that these cars do lend, but nonetheless. Rohe Robinson again contact with the Trinidad driver, and now the Ville Park sneaks in to try and see where he can get into the mix, and did touch the grass, and there he goes careening into the wall. The Ville Park with a little bit of drama. Rohe Robinson still hunting down the likes of Mr. Michael Charles and Oswin Wilson both at the same time, and they have about 8 minutes remaining, and Michael Charles there making back that position on the likes of the Guyanese driver. The 2 are side by side. Rohe Robinson getting the best view of this, gives a little bit of a bump to the Guyanese driver, maybe looking a little bit anxious there, and will that be 2 moves into 1 as Rohe Robinson does make the move on 1 but not into 2, and there again contact between Michael Charles and Rohe Robinson, and guess who is coming around the corner? Dominic Charles, who will get the run now alongside Mr. Charles, and Rohe Robinson will be kicking himself and maybe even trying to kick Michael Charles, because he should be furious right now as he's been taken out so many times, but he is now overtaken again by Dominic Charles, and this, ladies and gentlemen, is why you never give up in a race, because Dominic Charles was sitting in P8 about 2 laps ago and now sits in P6 and will be hounded by the Jamaican of Dominic Charles. Jaden Harrison 2 seconds, almost 3 seconds off of Estefano, but we'll continue to ride along board with these 2 here in the meantime until that gap closes a little bit more, because we definitely want to see what will happen with them. But right now the battle is between P6, P7 and P8, and the race for the lead. We've seen these 2 as well catching up many times, and especially over the series we've seen it at the, what was it, LaSalle, and the 2 had in the final corner making contact, forcing their way through. What a battle that was. So we'll definitely tune back in on that. But right now the battle is between Rohe Robinson, Dominic Charles and Michael Charles, P6 to P7 to P8 Oswin Wilson is as well not too far in the foreground, so he himself has to make up some ground and try and get away from the likes of the drivers behind him. Rohey Robinson still on the hunt. Michael Charles backing off a little bit, or losing a little bit of time there. Deville Park now does see Riley Curtis in his rear view, so he will have some fun here in the final 6 minutes. So we'll tag along board with them sooner than later, but right now this is a battle that we want to stay tuned with. And ladies and gentlemen, just looking quickly, Jaden Harrison is about half a second away from Estefano, so we'll definitely just keep up with the Kardashians here and see what they can do, because this battle looks like it could end up very aggressive in the next few moments. Jaden needs the points, Estefano not so much, but would love, I'm sure, to keep as many points to his countryman in P3. So will this be a little bit of team orders, just to, even if he doesn't need a win, will he just try and defend like a lion, get the final victory of this evening? Will Jaden be the clean sweep, or get the clean sweep as Jaden there just sitting in a slipstream? Let's see a very clean and nice battle here between these two, because we've seen them in the past and know they are unrelenting. As you see Jaden there just poking his nose, being a reminder that, sirs, I am here and I need this victory. He's had so many poor moments in this series because of equipment issues or network issues. So right now, sitting in P4, he wanted that P1 and unfortunately has to settle for P4 to P2, and will be hunting down the likes of the drivers in front. Did get pole and P1 in the last race. Will he be able to take it in this final race of this evening, of this series, of this tour? Ladies and gentlemen, Jaden Harrison is hunting down Estefano Barrero. We will watch and ride along, but as we speak of that, Dominic Charles as well, hunting down the likes of Oswin Wilson. Rohey Robinson even falling back a little bit, but Dominic Charles is hunting down his well, I was going to say countryman, but region friend and brother, as we see Sashan Falloon retiring, and that will be a DNF. But side by side do go the Renault and that Ford Focus. Rohey Robinson as well, still sticking as close as possible, waiting on anything. You see the rotation in that Ford Focus, but driven by that Oswin, that Guyanese driver, but the two are making a little bit of contact, but not enough. But these three will be fighting it out in these dire moments. 3.5 minutes remain, 3 minutes 30 seconds. Jaden Harrison still hunting the likes of Estefano. There are only a few mere tenths, but there is Oswin Wilson and Rohey Robinson side by side as they head down now the start finish stretch. A little bit of contact as they head down now into turn 1, and Rohey Robinson promoted into P6, and that is a move done. And now he has the likes of the Trinidad driver to hunt down and see if he can gain that position and see where he can get a few extra points here in this championship bidding. Wow, wowzers, what a battle this has been. Ladies and gentlemen, we are now hitting the 2-minute mark, and the drivers will be getting their 2-minute warning any second now, in about half a minute. And right now is what we've deemed and dubbed the desperation zone, the time where the drivers will send some late dives, where the desperation in the drivers will come forth. And ladies and gentlemen, you will see the aggression in some of the drivers. We've seen it in the past, we've seen it before, where the drivers are leaving it until the final moment. They didn't want to push too hard, didn't want to destroy their tires too early. I'm sure we'll hear something about tire strategy at some point today, but right now the two drivers that we're going to be looking into, Rohey Robinson, who's only half a second off of Dominic Charles, Jaden Harrison, who's falling back slightly, but with 2 minutes remaining, he's about 3/10 slower on that lap. This is where Estefano has set his fastest lap of the evening with a 156.068. So he is clearly a man on a mission, trying to capitalize on as many points as possible to keep the Jamaican a foot and away from the overtaking his countryman in the championship standings. So this is going to get interesting real quick, ladies and gentlemen. Rohey Robinson as well, still hunting down the likes of Dominic Charles. Oswin Wilson now hunting down the likes of the Jamaican. Mikhail Charles sitting in a little bit of a la land. Riley Curtis there looked like he found a little off track there for a moment. Daville Park will be hunting him down as well, so we'll continue to watch and ride along board with them to see what happens. Stefano about a second ahead of the likes of Jaden Harrison, but there is Daville Park right there in the slipstream of the Australian driver, and I'm sure we'll be definitely trying to see where he can make back that position here this evening. Here, ladies and gentlemen, you're seeing Rohey Robinson just picking up the pace with the last 30 seconds remaining. Takes a look on the inside of the Trinidad driver, and as we've seen it in the past, Dominic Charles, a king of defense, but Rohey Robinson is not one to give up. But as we see Mr. Estefano coming around turns 13 now, heading down now, he will start his, well, 2 more laps to go, as he has about 4 seconds until we've gotten into overtime. So we will have 2 more laps of racing after he passes this the start finish line. And I'm sure Jaden Harrison, well, he's dropping back, so he's not doing as well as he would have hoped, I'm sure. So right now Rohey Robinson is a man who's trying his best to see where he can capitalize. But right now we have, I'm sorry, we're on 1 final lap as a matter of fact, because he did pass the line in time. So we are on the final lap of the race. Estefano will be leading and running away and trying to get as quickly away as possible from the drivers behind, but he just needs to be consistent right now. As it stands, he should have tied up the championship standings, and this will just put the cherry on the top. He was leading by about 30 points, so it would have had taken something catastrophic for him to lose that pole position or top step. So right now looking very clear of the field and looking quite confident in his bid for the top step of the overall standings here. Estefano leading the pack, Jaden Harrison not too far away. Daniel Velez sits in P3, and he is still fighting because he was only what was 6 or 7.5 points behind Rohey Robinson. Rohey did finish ahead of him in the first race, so he needs to capitalize on as many points as possible as well, and keep Rohey with as little bit as possible as the next few moments subsides. But right now looking like a very confident finish for Estefano as he comes around the final few corners, and looking quite comfortable here in the lead as Jaden Harrison comes right behind him. Luis Daniel Velez in P3. Michael Thompson again with his another amazing finish for him here. He looked like he's enjoyed this track from the get-go, and he's looked absolutely rapid from the start to now. Looking comfortable in P4. Dominic Charles still being hounded by the Jamaican, but there we have it, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Estefano Barrero comes around the line to finish in P1, the overall championship leader for the season 1 tour 1. As you see him there doing his donuts, enjoying himself there. We'll have him in the interview very soon, as you see him in that BMW M2. I'm sure some of the front wheel drive drivers, the BMW drivers, the front wheel drivers would not like to would love to do their donuts, but can't because of the front wheel drive nature. But there you see it, Mikhail Charles. Estefano Barrero did take P1 in this race too. That is Daniel Velez as well, but unfortunately for him, not unfortunately, my apologies, he finishes off in P3, but we'll definitely see what comes in the point standings in the overall tally at the end of this. This looks like he could have maintained P3. What a battle that was, ladies and gentlemen. What an evening of racing, and what an absolute spectacle here at the JSRA. I have been proud to be your host. I'm looking forward, ladies and gentlemen, to the interviews as we will round off this evening in a moment's time. And ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the final interview for Tour 1 here. What an absolutely epic series this has been, and if I do say so myself, I'm absolutely proud of these drivers who have put on a show race after race. They've shown their dedication. We did have a low-ish turnout here this evening, but nonetheless, it's been an absolute spectacle to see. We will start with Daniel Velez here this evening, car driver number 379, who did finish his second race and the first race, as a matter of fact, in P3. So we'll hear his thoughts in a moment's time. But what an absolute epic race this has been, series this has been. And if this is what the first season has been like, I cannot imagine the seasons to come. But right now we had a race winner. He did finish both races this evening in P3. He's in the fight for P2 and P3 in the championship standings, and the prize pool overall, even the silver class driver standings. He's been an absolute spectacle of a racer this season. I've enjoyed every moment of him on track and every moment of him in the interview room. Driver number 379, the leader over at Noble Racing store and Noble Racing team over in Colombia. Get your Moses stuff by him. The most epic, one of my most epic friends, somebody I look forward to meeting in real life sooner than later, especially through sim racing and even eventually real life racing, Mr. Daniel Velez. Daniel, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you guys. Thank you, bro. You always make it smile so much. Thank you so much for the introduction.
Well, you make us smile when we can see you on track. So again, congratulations, sir. Happy I could extend the the gesture, but nonetheless, it was an absolutely epic evening of racing. I know your hunt and your fight was definitely with Rohey Robinson. You did get ahead of him in the second race, and unfortunately, you were one place down in the first race, if I remember correctly.
Yes, sir.
Yes, you finished P3 in both races. So, how did the race feel? I know you and him had a few tying ups at some points in race one, but we'll definitely, well, we'd love to hear about your point of views on those incidents and what had happened. But yeah, give us a rundown, please.
Sure. So the race for me was really, really hard. Get the pace here. I am really not on the pace on this track. Like what the laps that Jaden was putting. It's insane. Like I cannot understand when he's making 1 second. It's Jesus. Yeah, it's a lot. So yeah, I knew that I did not have the pace. I was trying to hold everything that I could, and then the fight with Roger, it was really really nice.
Yes, it
I
was.
was keeping the distance, but then I make a mistake and I lost like over half a second. He came to me and he was like over and over and over, and then he did an amazing job. That was an amazing overpass what he did when he was able to keep the car in the left in that right corner. I knew that I was going to lose the position there because the left turn, it has no grip at all in the left. So when he did it, I still to myself that it was a great move. I congratulate him, and then yeah, that's the first race.
Yes, and then, well, again, congratulations. It was a move by Rohey, if I do say so myself, but your second race was quite eventful. You moved up to P3 almost immediately. Could you walk us through, especially that with that safety car, what had happened there from your point of view, and your thoughts on the racing?
Sure. So to be completely honest with you, I do not totally understand what happened in the race start. Like I didn't know how I get to third. To be completely honest with you, I do not understand how. I just watching the mirror that there was a big incident. I do not know how it happened. And then at race start, I was able to make a great racer after the safety car, and I take P2 on that straight. From that moment, I was just trying to keep with Estefano and hoping that the guy behind me was going to put a fight for Jaden, because I knew that, you know, Jaden had an amazing pace. And then when he catch, I was not going to put the fight because I didn't want to lose any time with Roger. I was checking where he was, so I was just trying to keep there. But then the screen freeze came again. It was, you know, making me lost a lot of time. I went off track like 2 or 3 times due to the screen freeze at one point. So I was hoping for no crazy screen freeze. I was already at fifth, at the fifth.
Track cut.
Penalty for
Yeah.
track cut. So yeah, I was praying, bro.
Well, I mean, nonetheless, and that goes to show the skill level of the drivers, because you're thinking of so many things at one time. You're thinking of the driver that you're trying to compete with in the championship standings. You're looking at your track cuts and trying to keep everything on and, as clean as possible. But nonetheless, what an epic battle this has been. It's been an absolutely wonderful experience having you in our series as always, and from round 1 to round 8 you've been an absolute fierce competitor, and looking forward to you in the next tour to come. But any final thoughts and any last shout outs to your fans out there in the comments and the chats?
Well, no, thank you. Thank you so much for all of the people that have been supporting me. Thank you so much, you and your organization, for putting this amazing championship. This is really, really very likely the only championship that it doesn't matter the race. I always finish with a big smile. It doesn't matter if I finish 15. The racecraft here is great. The championship is amazing. The cars are amazing. Everything is amazing. Thank you so much for your job, bro.
Man, thank you for joining, because without you, we wouldn't have anybody to drive them. So A huge shout out to you and your team over at Noble Racing. Congratulations, Dan, and I'm looking forward to giving you a huge shout out with the in the next few days with the final standings after we go through the stewarding reports.
Thank you, bro. Good night.
Thank you too. And ladies and gentlemen, that was Noble Racing team leader Daniel Velez, who did finish off in P3 in both races. What an absolutely epic race this has been for him. Right now, we'll have Rohir Robinson next, my apologies, who did finish in P2, and then we'll follow with Mr. Harrison after. But right now we have one of the organization leaders, Mr. Rohir Robinson, driver number 10, a close friend of mine, who has done absolutely an epic job here with the cars, with the racing since series race 1 at Daytona. He's had some mishaps and still found himself fighting his way all the way up into P2. And will he, well, we will find out in the next few moments where he finishes in the final standings. But what an absolutely epic showcase he has put on for the past few races. One of my closest friends as well, Mr. Rohir Robinson. Can you hear me? I'm here chatting off.
Yeah, I'm here.
Rohir, you finished the first race, and let me just go over quickly. You started in P3, was it, behind Dominic Charles? Then you fell back to P4, then you fought your way up, made your way into P2, then fell back again to P4, and then had to fight your way back to P2. What an absolutely epic race one, if I do say so myself. The drive of the day voting is definitely coming. One is going your way, as well as the overtake of the day on Daniel Velez there. But yeah, your thoughts on that battle?
Yeah, I knew I had the pace at Melbourne. I think Jaden and we were doing some laps in the week, and we realized that, if we nail a solid lap, then it's easy 155s. And I was sandbagging throughout the entire week.
Yeah, Shoko.
So when I saw like the other guys doing 56, I was saying, okay, they're close. They should be competitive, but I still knew that I had the edge once I settled. But the fighting back and forth, Jaden got away.
Absolutely, he did.
I actually messed up qualifying. I should have actually qualified at least P2.
So I was about to ask you there, because it looked like every time you looked like you could have gotten a lap, sector 3 was your trial and your trouble for this evening. What was happening there?
I don't know. I was on a really good lap, on pace with Jaden, and I invalidated the lap on one of the corners, and once one lap was ruined, I needed another cool down lap and another flying lap to go. So after I invalidated the first 2 or 3, I knew that I only had one chance to
Yeah, you needed a banker at that point.
Yeah. But yeah, it should have been P2. If it was P2, then I'm sure Jaden and I could have gotten away.
Absolutely.
But I had to fight my way. I even locked up trying to fight Daniel in the first part. I missed my breaking point.
Yeah, I think I saw that one as well. I got a little bit nervous. I mean, there was even a moment where we saw, I think it was Dominic that was looking like he wanted to just, give you a little tap in the rear end of your motor vehicle. But still, that battle was absolutely epic. He finished off in P2 to finish off this evening's racing, and right now you're looking well for the championship standings to hold off Daniel in P2. Jaden did get a lot of points here this evening, so we'll go through the stewarding reports. But how is your confidence with maintaining P2 here this evening?
I think there was one moment where I was thinking, wait, I can win this championship, because I saw Estefano messed up race 1. So I was thinking that, all right, if something happens race 2, then I need to be up in the points to actually capitalize.
Hmm.
But I got held up by Mikhail and a lot of pushing off the track, and
Right. We
I
saw that
I
live.
survived the race too.
We saw
I
that
survived
live, and we actually wanted to get a comment there because we could only imagine how frustrated you would have been. But it's still, again, unfortunate for you, but kind of fortunate for us because we got a lot of racing because of it. It even brought Dominic Charles back into the mix, who was another
right.
competitor. So it's
That
just,
is
yeah, just your
so.
final thoughts on that.
Yeah, like for Dominic, I think Dominic had the pace advantage. Once I was consistent, I could have taken the fight to him. But for Michael and Lewis, I think they got away because of what Michael did. I got pushed off the track about 3 times and got spun in the final corner when Oswayne and we were fighting there. So you got some good actions, but I did get pushed off the track, so I was pretty pissed.
We could imagine, and if you watch back the stream, don't watch it back tonight, watch it back tomorrow, and we can get your final comments from there. But nonetheless, Rohit, it's been an absolutely epic season with you, and looking forward to what we have coming in the next season. We have new physics, we have new car, well, a possibility of a new car. So we are asking you, folks, if you get the chance, stay tuned to our social medias at JSRA Official and stay abreast with everything that is to come. But any final thoughts as we head into our mid-season break, and well, not mid-season, but our season break, and head into preparations for season 2?
Yeah, I mean, I have to give it up to Jaden. Jaden, he worked really hard on the cars, especially the ones that will be released. I drove them before, and we're going to be testing them out again, and it feels really amazing. And it feels balanced with all the other cars, especially with the rear wheel drives.
Mm-hmm.
So it should be a better season coming up once we uh, fine tune our driving. I think towards the end of the championship we had a lot of incidents. Um, but I know for 1 or 2 races it was really clean and everyone enjoyed. So we're aiming for that next championship.
Absolutely, and this is a great time to point out that we do have the workshop coming in this 2 week break, so which will be headed by Jaden and Raven, if I do remember correctly. So please, if you are in the chats and you want to join us and you feel a little bit nervous about joining us, please feel free. We do have a very interesting 2 weeks of workshops and testing coming up. So please stay tuned to our social medias, join our Discord. Rohit Robinson, absolutely epic drive from you this season, and congratulations on the finish.
Thank you, looking forward to the future races.
Absolutely. And ladies and gentlemen, that was Rohit Robinson, finished off in P2 in the first race, a good haul of points, and finished, I believe, P5 in the second race. But now we have our race winner from this evening. Driver number 604. He's been absolutely epic all season. He's had so many disappointments with equipment and network issues and just unforeseen issues, but nonetheless he's been one of the most dominant drivers and finished today's race by, well, let me even started this race by a full second in front of P2 in qualifying. He did set a 155.6, was it, versus 156.309, so that's about 9/10 of a second. Call it a second. Driver 604 finished about 13 seconds ahead of his closest competitor, who you just heard, Mr. Rohit Robinson, and did finish out this race in P1 and P2. Had a nice battle there to finish off this season with Estefano. He's had so many battles with Mr. Jaden Harrison. Jaden, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Well, Jaden, again, congratulations on the P1 and P2. It's a huge haul of points that you definitely needed. We do have one drop race, so hopefully, well, this one will definitely go towards the better standings in those in the championship counts and tally. But that being said, you've had an epic evening of racing. Could you give us your thoughts firstly on your 155.6 lap? Was it one of those that you just zoned out, or yeah, could you walk us through that one?
I think I just got lucky because Rahi was actually the one doing a lot of practice. I basically didn't do much of practice, and he was like showing me the lines and showing me lap time, so he should have actually qualified like on pole a little faster, but he really messed up with the track cuts. But yeah, I give the props to Rahi for showing me the lines and stuff for that. But yeah, I think if Rahe got his lap down, you would have been even more blown away.
Well, well, that was a good start because I know he did say to me that he was sandbagging a little bit, and he could not get a good lap out. We were discussing it earlier, but that being said, we can talk quickly about race one. Oh, quickly you just decided to just, as in Jamaica said, tackle yourself, and you saw the fighting behind you, and you just didn't take one look behind you, and you just push forward, and you took that win by a very good margin, by I think 12 seconds was it. A very Max Verstappen-esque of a drive, and setting the fastest lap of the race with a 155.916. Can you give us your thoughts on the race start?
Yeah, it was good. I got a good start. The guys behind were racing a lot each other, so I think that gave me the huge lead. And then after that, I guess put my head down, start putting fast lap. I think when the car has like that amount of ballast, you don't really feel the tires and stuff losing that much. But I had a off. I think the setup Rahe gave me when the fronts worn down, the car just didn't turn. So on the second to last lap, I went in broke turn, the car went straight. So that's how
Oh.
bad the tire wear was with the ballast. But yeah, it was good.
Well, still epic drive. I mean, you're still a very dominant finish there. In the second race, you had the likes of, well, you had quite a few battles there, as you had to make the move on Daniel Velez on the hunt for Estefano. Could you walk us through that move, because it was quite a spectacle on stream?
In race 2,
Yes.
oh yeah, Daniel. Yeah, well, Daniel was saying like he didn't really have the as much pace, so he was trying to really see if he could work with me to catch Estefano, but Estefano just put some insane laps and had like a better strategy with the tires. So I couldn't catch him, but I was just trying to get past him as quickly as possible. I was going to try the Kimi Antonelli into the previous corner, but I just say, you know, that I get too much penalties this season. I'm not going to try nothing. And
Right.
then I guess that corner was one of my biggest gains with the braking. I think I got over everybody else. So this I broke later on the inside, outside, and then took it round.
And it was an absolutely, it's in the running for overtake of the day, if I do say so myself. But still, epic drive. You were running down even Estefano, but you couldn't pull it through. I felt like you backed off at the end, but nonetheless, congratulations, sir. The points haul from this evening does put you in contention for between P2 and P3. How does it feel, and how confident are you feeling in the overall championship standings?
Well, I wasn't really looking to really win or do good P3, but I'll take it if I get it.
I'm sure you will, and fingers are crossed for you, sir. But absolutely epic finish, absolutely epic race. Congratulations, Jaden. And before I let you go, any final thoughts on the race season that is to come? We discussed briefly about a car that we wanted to launch. We'll be going through our testing as well as a workshop. Any final thoughts on that before I let you go?
Yeah, well, preseason tests actually up soon. Well, it would be up tonight, I guess, and the new cars would drive a lot more realistic and a lot better. So everybody watching, you should come and race, and yeah, it's much better.
Absolutely, and even as you said, we have the workshop coming, which will be led by Raven Plummer and Jaden Harrison. So we have some good practice. If you feel like you're not ready to go on the big screen, please feel free, get your practice in, and we would still love to have you. So Jaden Harrison, ladies and gentlemen, race winner and P2 in race 2, has done a very epic job this season. Congratulations, sir. And we will have the final driver of the evening. He didn't have the best race one. It sounded like it was technical difficulties, but definitely put a foot right and came out strong. Mr. Estefano Barrero, one of my closest friends, somebody who's been one of the fastest drivers that I've known, one who's rarely does put a foot wrong and has been a competitive force this season, a thorn in so many persons' side. Estefano finishes off the second race in P1. I believe the race 2 was in P7, and what an epic race this has been for him. I believe even his lap 1, he jumped from, I think, was it P5 to P4 or P3 or P2, if I remember correctly. But Estefano Barrero, ladies and gentlemen, Estefano, can you hear me?
Yeah, I do.
Well, coming into this championship, you were definitely seeking that podium or top step of the championship standings. I know you said you still haven't gotten acclimatized with the car, but can you give us your thoughts on how strong you finish, how well you've done this season, and then we'll get into your racing.
Yeah, good night. It was a very hard season. I mean, it was harder than I expected. There was many ups and downs. I was lot slower than Jaden in some races. It was kind of a roller coaster of emotions because sometimes I felt like I had too many skill issues. So it was I had to be very strong mentally speaking because I really wanted to win the championship. So I we went from an aggressive strategy to very conservative, just surviving all the races and trying to get as much podiums as I could. At the end of the day, it's not the driver who gets the most wins, but the driver who is the more consistent. And also there was a bit of luck involved. So yeah, today was a very hard race because in race one my brake went like crazy. I had to recalibrate it after, so it was very hard to brake. I think I hit some people because of it, and I'm really sorry. But for race two, after I fixed it, it was just very smooth to drive. The car was amazing. It costed me like the entire season to understand the car finally, so I'm really happy.
Well, it was, well, I've even forgot to say, we still have to go through, but as it stands right now, congratulations, Mr. Barrero, on winning Tour 1 of the Caribbean Tour, Caribbean Touring Car Championship here at Melbourne, the final round. But yes, it was it was a very dramatic season, even with the pedal issue that you had there. We didn't really see it on stream. I'm gonna say thank God for that because I didn't even know it was happening. But nonetheless, it was an epic drive. You even uh had some good battles there in the second race, even having to defend against Jaden Harrison. Could you just walk us out briefly on how that battle went in your head? And you know, he did catch you up, but then your tire strategy looked like it just worked better for you in the long run, and you just could hold him off. But yeah, your final thoughts.
Yeah, Jaden was very fast, but I also took into account that he had more weight than me, and I had hard tires. I mean, medium tires doesn't work in the BMW for any race. They feel slow and heavy, like with full tank. So when I saw him and mirror very close, I knew he wasn't gonna overtake because of the way I saw him struggling in some corners, like over pushing the car. At the beginning, it might have worked for him, but at the end, for sure not.
It
And
wasn't
I
gonna
was
work.
talking to him before, and yeah, he openly admitted that he had some issues with the front end of the car to make it turn. So yeah, I was just trying to not look at my mirror because yeah, Jaden is very quick. I like to say that I'm a really good defender, but against drivers like Jaden that are really experienced, it's really hard to not get overtaken. So Yeah, I was actually impressed at the end of the race that I could hold for long, but as I said before, it was very comfortable after I fixed my brake and could
Nice.
deliver a good result.
Well, again, brother, congratulations. It was an absolutely epic result, and a great way to finish off this season. We do have the second tour coming. Will we, or can we expect to see you come back, and what are your expectations for the next season?
Yeah, for sure I will be back. It's very very fun to race. I hope more people shows up in the final races. I mean, I get there is a lot of people dropping in all championships for the final races, but I really hope we get a consistent grid during the entire season. So yeah, I for sure will be back. Probably not in a rear wheel drive, real drive car. I'll try more options this time.
Right.
We will see. We will see.
Well, I'm definitely looking forward to seeing you in a front wheel drive if that's the case. But we do have our preseason testing, so please feel free to try out the cars. It's gonna be new physics, new whole heap of new things coming aboard, even a brand new car that we're trying to implement. So again, Stefano, congratulations, sir. Any final comments to your fans and anybody who is tuning in for the last few moments of the stream?
Yeah, I want to say thank you first to my sponsor, Nova Racing Store, always supporting me there. And my friends, my teammates from Fusion, from Nova, and also my dad is always right to me. Basically, my race engineer tell me what happens during the race is a big advantage. Um, to my family, that's always watching, always supporting, and yeah, that thank you to all people, even the ones that are not watching, but for sure gonna be happy when I tell them.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Well, congratulations, Estefano. Looking forward to seeing you next season, bro. This has been an absolutely epic showcase of your talent and just having you on board with us, bro. And I'm looking forward to many, many, many more with you.
Thank you. The great season, great host. Thank you, Stephen, for these amazing races, guy.
Thank you as well, Estefano. We'll talk soon. And ladies and gentlemen, that was your race winner from race two, who was the eventual championship leader or winner, my apologies, for season one of the Caribbean Touring Car this season. This has been an absolutely epic showcase of talent. This has been an absolutely epic showcase of intense battling drivers who've been fighting it out from the beginning until the end. We did have a slightly lower turnout than we would have wanted, but still enough to have a competitive grid. What an absolutely epic drive by these drivers. This has been a showcase that I am looking forward to. Again, we have preseason testing starting now, so please feel free, even if you just want to get some laps in, feel out the car, see if you could even manage. How well would you fare against these professional drivers here at the JSRA? We'll look forward to many more events and more persons joining us and growing the community. We've just reached 1,800 followers in our Discord, and we are climbing in our YouTube subscribers. So guys, please, we thank you for your support. We ask you, if you can, share with your friends. The more likes and views we get is the more sponsorship we can get for these drivers and pay them for what is so well deserved. The battling, the fights, the laughs, the drama, ladies and gentlemen, look out for what is to come. We have so much more in store for the rest of the season. We have endurance racing coming up. We have some sprints using the Le Mans Ultimate platform. We have the CTCC Season 2 coming up, as well as our AC karting. We have a championship that we have slated for the midpoint of this year. So ladies and gentlemen, I have been your host, Mr. Stephen Stewart. They call me El Presidente for whatever reason I will just get accustomed to. But that being said, it's been an absolutely epic season, and I've been so privileged and pleasured to be able to bring you this action. I've been your host, and I'm looking forward to seeing you again back in the next few weeks for around our season 2 of our Caribbean Touring Car Championship. I've been your host. I bid you a good and awesome evening or morning, depending on where you are. God bless you, and have a wonderful evening or morning wherever you are.